Hi guys, welcome back to Life of Clay for another sculpting video. Kenji here, your sculptor, and this time we will be making the swimmer and diver among iguanas, the saltwater or most commonly known as the Galapagos Marine Iguana, Amblyrhynchus cristatus, another interesting animal that we are about to tackle with. If you like my sculpting videos, please consider subscribing and turn on the notification bell icon right next to it so you won't miss out any of our future videos. You may also like, leave your comment, and share this video to your friends, and that will be appreciated. So what are we waiting for? Come, bring the clay on and let's dive with our reptilian friend. I draw a quick sketch of our iguana, and this will be the pattern to get our sculpture size. And for the armature, I used 3mm aluminum rod that I filed its tip pointy, and this will be the tail support. Put some mark on the main wire to where the leg wires are to be bent later. Now bind 2 pieces of stainless steel wire to the aluminum wire using cotton string and bend the leg wires out as well as the tail. Now apply 2 parts epoxy resin all the way to the tail, set aside to cure. And for the base, I used an oval-shaped piece of wood, gluing a dense crumpled aluminum foil as filler for the rock and set it aside to cure. We can now bend the legs and the head wire of the armature and position it on top of the rock filler, and in this moment, I can give it the position I want. Now bulking it with 2 parts epoxy and aluminum foil, set aside to cure and proceed in making the spines. And let's prepare the spines. I use Sculpting granite polymer clay for them. Lay a noodle of it on a tile and flatten it. Cut into small pointy spearhead-like pieces and form them into conical spines by rolling and curving them a little bit, and after that bake them over a tile set aside for later use. We can now begin sculpting the head, cover it with a thin sheet of clay and forming its basic shape, marking his eyes location and adding its blobby wrinkled neck, the lips, and those bony plates on top of its head. And while we're doing the sculpting, let's have some seconds to check our nature's Godzilla's profile. The Galapagos Marine Iguana's generic name, Amblyrhynchus, is the combination of 2 Greek words, ambly from amblus meaning blunt and rhynchus meaning snout. They are also known as saltwater or sea iguana. It can only be found in Galapagos Islands, very unique among modern lizards. It is the marine reptile that has the ability to forage in the sea for algae, which makes up almost of all its diet. The 1 to 2 years old marine iguana may voluntarily swim in shallow water and tide pools, but they don't dive. And the adult, on the other hand, can dive as deep as 30 meters or 98 feet and can spend up to 1 hour underwater. The large males defend their territories and threaten another male by bobbing his head and opening the mouth, displaying the reddish-pink interior. During the territorial fights, males headbutt with their bony plates on top of their head that are suited to interlock, each attempting to push away the opponent. They mainly live in colonies on rock shores where they bask after visiting the relatively cold water or intertidal zone, but can also be seen in marshes, mangroves, and beaches. Females dig nest hole in the soil where she lays her eggs, leaving them to hatch on their own within a few months. Though they may seem so hard and indestructible, they are indeed vulnerable from predators like hawks and herons, and from the gangs of Galapagos racer snakes, especially the young ones and exhausted females from egg laying, are more prone to such attacks. Add scale texture and some small plates on its cheek and its nostril. I decided to leave a narrow groove on the back of its head downward and add the spines at the last minute to prevent them from burning during the modular stage of our sculpting process. Now that the head is done, let's cure it partially with heat gun. We can now proceed to sculpting the body. Cover it with a thin sheet of clay, adding more clay if necessary to specific areas, since this iguana is a heavyweight little Godzilla. Then add folded and wrinkled skin details on the specific areas. Making the elongated muscle on its back more noticeable and add its scaly skin texture again using my DIY loop wire tool. Leaving a narrow groove on its back and cure it again with heat gun. Next is sculpting the tail. Roll out a noodle of clay and make the other end pointy, making incision halfway through and wrap it to the tail wire. Close the seam and blend it to the body. Add texture, and after that make a slit on top of it and start planting the smaller spines. And now cure it with heat gun. We can now resume adding the spines on its back by filling the groove with a thin noodle of clay and poke series of holes. Plant the spines in these holes and do this until we reach the back of its head. The spines above this iguana's neck is quite longer comparing to the rest of the body spines. That's why I made various sizes of spines for this very purpose. And after all the spines are added and the texture is retouched, cure it with heat gun just enough to make the spines hold firmly. And we can now sculpt the foot. I used dark colored translucent clay and cut into strips. And then roll them out into conical shape. I draw its front and hind foot in this plastic film to ensure they are uniform in size. And let's begin with the hind foot. Lay over each toe according to the pattern. Now shape its claw and add scale texture. Add more clay to their base to hold them together and then flip it over and fix the underside. And then curve its claw and do the same method to the other foot. Now place them under the leg wire and let the wire pierce in. Push the clay to the wire so they may cling properly. retouch the texture and reposition some of its toes. And after that, blow them with a heat gun. And if you watch my Thorny Devil Lizard, I did the same method in sculpting the legs. And for the final sculpting, the legs. Roll out a thick noodle of clay and cut into pieces size of the leg. Make incision halfway through and drop them to the wires, closing the seam and blend them. Shaping their muscles and folded skin and add texture. And now bake it in the oven for its final curing. And we can now paint it, but first we have to protect the spines with masking tape so to keep their light base color. And for the base color, I use pure black mixed with little amount of titanium white to create dark gray colored paint. And after that, remove the cover of the spines and paint some areas with light gray, just adjusting the titanium white to the gray mix. And you know what? Marine iguanas have 7 to 8 subspecies and some of them are colorful indeed, especially those in the Hispaniola Islands known as Amblyrhynchus cristatus venustissimus, which consists of red, orange, and blue-green coloration. They are also called Christmas iguana. And randomly brush it with wash of yellow ochre and burnt sienna. Adding whitish speckles and patches using the mix of titanium white and little amount of the gray and yellow ochre. And to accentuate the wrinkles and skin folds, I brush the crevices with the wash of black. Painting the eyes with light brown and black for the pupil. And for the base, I added more light colors which I listed in the description section down below. I cover his eyes with masking tape. And now sealing it with ultramatte varnish since I want to present him resting over a rock, basking under the sand that makes his skin dry, and I apply gloss varnish on its foot so they may look like wet by the mist of the tides. And I apply resin to its eyes and around the rock base to imitate the stagnant water. And I brush some dried painted moss with resin and add to the base, set it aside to cure overnight. And there we go, our Galapagos Marine Iguana is finally done. Sculpting reptiles is very challenging with their anatomy details, color scheme, and on how to present their natural character, and makes them look like alive. I hope you enjoy our tutorial this time and may you find my techniques useful in creating your projects as well. It's my pleasure to share you guys my own method, so if you like more sculpting videos like this one, please consider subscribing and turn on the notification bell icon right next to it. And also don't forget to like it, drop your comment and share it. Thank you again for watching and your support is very much appreciated. See you again next time. Have a great day everyone.